So I can type R?
Yeah. Hello and welcome to another Friday night of VTS Spring 2023. Tonight's match is a best of 3 from Group B between NJ Hypeboy and Cosa Gamer Squad. Both teams currently sit towards the top of the table, and a win tonight could put either one of them in prime position to push for that first seed heading into playoffs. My name is Crewman. I am joined by my man Turk once again for week 6. You ready for this one, mate?
Oh, I was born ready, crewman. Yeah, this is going to be a good one. We already got a couple bands coming in here. First one going to be that Tarek. That's an interesting one, so we'll pay close attention to what NJH decides to do here. I wouldn't be surprised, though, to see something pretty standard coming up from them. Probably something like a Jinx. That could be a good first pick, but also the other option that they can do if they want to be a little more spicy, Be My A can look for that Gragas first pick. He's played that a ton to great success so far.
Right, absolutely. We'll see if that does end up coming through. The Fat Man, of course, still pretty meta these days. Hasn't really received any adjustments since the end of the regular split for most of those professional leagues, and of course he was very, very popular at that time. So certainly wouldn't surprise me too much to see the Graggy make his way onto the Rift tonight. But moving through these bans here, Turk, it's the Asol and the Annie that are going to get banned away. A little bit of a focus towards the mid lane thus far.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing here. And I can't say I'm too surprised about that either. NJH's style, the Hype Boys, but they generally, from what I've gathered, a lot of the times Be My A is looking to play something early that he can aggress on and then try to snowball his side lanes. If he's able to get his bot lane ahead, he can do really well. But there's also the option that they have, if they are able to grab something like this Gragas, CGS also has the opportunity to be able to pick that and take it away, pending, the Hype Boys don't want to first pick it. But with that Gragas, they've really been able to kind of take that early game snowball and then actually push it that much more, because pressure that Gragas has early on is just far superior to a lot of junglers currently in the meta.
Indeed, yeah, he can be a really potent ganker. And as we know, getting an advantage in the early game is one of the best ways to win a game of League of Legends, although it can also be a risky strategy. We shall see. Gragas obviously is not necessarily a champion that's pigeonholed into the early game or anything like that. Not as severely, at least, as something like Jarvan, who's really kind of locked into that early game. And yeah, you're surprised by the Ezreal lock-in. I think for good reason, probably, Turk.
Yeah, I'm very surprised. We'll see what CGS decide to do here, but there are lots of options. To me, right away, like NGH, like the Hype Boys, it looks like they want to play more weak side. Generally, when you see that Ezreal, that pick early on, that's something that you expect to see. Taking a quick look at the champions that Unless plays and Joker. I mean, Joker has an option to grab the Sivir if he does want. He's played that quite a few times here, and the Sivir can just kind of AFK wave clear. But we're going to get a really quick R1, R2 Kog'Maw Melio, and that seemed to me to be a really good answer into that Ezreal already. The Ezreal's going to take a while to scale, and so is Kog'Maw, but I mean, I think you got to give it to Kog'Maw when it comes to the scaling, and on top of Emilio too, early on CGS have drafted this bot lane. Looks like they'll actually be able to get quite a bit of prio too with that Emilio, and they're drafted to scale too.
Yeah, I mean, Ezreal scales well, but he's not a hyper carry, right? Not in the same way that Kog'Maw is. And with Emilio paired up alongside, that enchant or that extra, I gotta be honest with you, Turk, I'm still not 100% on what exactly Emilio does, but definitely there's gonna be some buffs there for the Kog'Maw. Some shielding, definitely, pretty sure that's in the kit. So it feels pretty strong for the Cosa Gamers.
Yeah, the Emilio will do exactly what Nami can also do for the Kog'Maw, just almost Emilio's basically Nami 2.0, has 2 shields early on. A lot of the times you'll actually max that early, so that's a good option. And then obviously as the game progresses, I really like to see the Thresh pick here. I think that'll be pretty nice. I don't know if it's the exact best response in the Emilio. Sometimes you'll see something like the Blitzcrank coming in here to actually be able to play around that champion, but earlier when you mentioned what the role, how Emilio plays, really the whole goal of Emilio is just completely peel. The whole kit itself. The ultimate itself is an AoE cleanse. It can actually get rid of suppresses and whatnot too. So Malzahar ult, Skarner R. So Emilio does a really good job with that. And we're going to actually see, just to get kind of caught back up here into the current state of this draft, the R3 Gwen being picked into the Cassante, which is 110% a counter. The Gwen will outscale that lane at some point. It just depends on how Hype Boys want to play around the Cassante. Every game that I've seen Yoram be able to play that champion, he's absolutely popped off, so I would not be surprised to see them put a lot more priority on that top side, but so far, so different from what I was expecting actually in this draft to me, so this is exciting, crewman. I'm liking it.
Certainly no trace of Gragas anywhere to be found in this champion selected thus far, so We'll see if that does continue, but I do think agree with your point that you were just making there about the fact that playing towards this Cassante for NJ Hypeboy could make a lot of sense, especially considering the context of the Ezreal bot side that can, of course, as you also already mentioned, play a really nice weak side down there. So that seems like it could be a recipe for success, but they will have their work cut out for them into something like this Gwen. You know, she does have a tendency to be a little bit immune, so we'll see how that all ends up playing out. But quick rundown on the second phase of bans here. It's the Jackson the Victor banned away by the Cosa Gamers, and the Lilia banned away by NJ Hypeboy. See if it's going to be another jungle pick here for their last ban.
Yeah, the R4 coming in here, would not be surprised to see the jungle being picked up here for CGS. Obviously saving that counter pick for your mid lane. R5 counter pick, usually best for solo lanes, but I mean there's plenty of options. Sometimes it's a good support pick as well. But yeah, right now what we're seeing is pretty it's pretty interesting. Got a little bit of time here on the clock, but if you're NJH, if you're the Hype Boys, yeah, setting up a couple kills early topside, if you're able to do that, it's going to be great. You also have options with that Thresh to facilitate other ganks, so you can look to make plays and actually try to kill this Kog'Maw Melio, which I think you're going to have to do too. So a little bit of early focus topside I think is a good thing, but too much, and you end up giving a chance for Kog'Maw and Melio to start scaling, and then at that point it's going to be a really tricky game already. And we're going to see another scaler on the side of CGS, so that's a lot of gold that this team needs already.
Yeah, Hecarim has been making a little bit of a resurgence in solo queue, at least. I've been sort of seeing him a little bit more often, and it's been the lethality build. The full damage glass cannon horse is kind of been the build of choice for a lot of those solo queue gamers. We'll see, you know, if the Cosa Gamers jungler is going to be wanting to do anything different here for the coordinated 5v5, but if I had to guess, if I was putting money on it, Turk, I would say that is going to be a very lethal horse coming out of the jungle.
I'm thinking so too, and yeah, you're right. You're going to definitely see that lethality build coming.
Turk, there he is. There he is. Hovering it. He's right there.
You scared me for a second. I was like, what did I miss?
Oh, no.
Yeah, Azir, I haven't seen the Hype Boys pick the Gragas mid yet, so if they pick it, that'd be pretty neat. Get that champion, but looks like it's going to be the Wukong jungle, and it's going to be the Azir, so that's going to be a blind Azir. There's a few options that you have. Actually, you can run something like the Syndra if you want. You can look to play away from the Azir. You can also do something like a Kali as well. I've seen that be pretty successful into that champion, but obviously we're going to have to see here. You still have plenty of time. Black Dog. He also picks some unique champions. He plays something like Action too, which is gonna actually be
whoa!
And
we still get the call out. We just it wasn't the blue 5 pick, it was the red 5 pick that you were predicting. Very nice. Turn.
Yeah, it was like a pseudo predict, because as soon as I swear, as soon as I said act, and then boom, he picked it. So
we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you.
Yeah, it could go either way.
It was on its way out.
The Action itself in a vacuum is 100% going to completely counter that Azir. When it comes early on, as long as Action's able to close the distance, the auto attacks, the trading, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ignite being taken too in mid lane, just to play around that priority. The only thing that I really have to question at this point here for Cosa Gamer Squad, I really like their draft, but their draft's going to take some time to really like ramp up. They don't really have a lot of damage until at least their 2 item power spikes. It's going to be on Kog'Maw. The Gwen will be pretty strong off 1 item, but the Hecarim's going to take a while as well, as is the Action. So I think you have a really good comp when it comes to the late game. It's just a question of whether you can get there or not.
Yeah, it is an interesting composition. The double 80 carry with the Melio, and then the Gwen side lane, the Hecarim for dive. It definitely has a lot of really strong scaling elements, like you were just saying, Turk. But at the same time, it does kind of feel a little bit all over the place to me. Like there's not really like one thing that this composition is trying to do necessarily. For Hypeboy, on the other hand,
I firmly agree.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I firmly agree with you though. I think the biggest thing too from CGS's game comp is that they actually don't really have a go button. Like who's going to be able to force a fight on the side of CGS? It's really tricky.
I mean, Hecarim running at them real fast.
And that's the only form of CC that you have besides a Melio Q. Like so that's gonna be really tricky. Like CGS is gonna have to rely on getting vision set up ahead of time, so they actually have to force the Hype Boys to walk into them in neutral, like whenever they're contesting for any dragons or anything like that. Because I feel like if the Hype Boys end up getting the advantage, because we'll talk about their team comp right now, if they're able to get the setup around those neutral objectives early on, the Thresh, the Death Sent is going to be extremely impactful. The Ezreal will not be able to do as much damage as the Kog'Maw most of the time. But if the Ezreal's hitting all of his abilities, he has a good chance to take him out. There's a lot of members that the Ezreal can shred, like what we were talking about, the Hecarim probably not going tanky. So the Hype Boys have a lot of opportunities from the early game. It's still going to take 2 items for CGS's team comp to really come online. So they have all of that time themselves to be able to try to find these picks, to play around the objectives that they can. And if they can execute their team comp by getting the vision ahead of time, playing for those picks, I think that they have a really good chance of taking this game.
Certainly, certainly. At the same time, though, my kind of first impression of this composition for NJ Hypeboy is that they also don't really have any early spikes. Like, you're saying that their composition, if they have set up, on the objective before their opponents, yes, I agree, it's really strong, but like actually getting the early lead and finding an advantage and being in a position to where you can have that setup, I think is actually going to be easier said than done for this composition. I mean, like Ezreal Thresh versus Kog'Maw Melio, like you can theoretically get the push there, I guess, but Thresh isn't really going to be able to help out with that too much, and Ezreal's not like known for being really great at pushing minion waves or anything like that. Like Azir into Akshan, I think Azir's probably going to struggle to get the push in that lane. I don't know.
It's an interesting dynamic though, isn't it? Because both of these teams, like, they want to be able to fight each other, but they can never really pull trigger, right? Like, nobody can really force a fight versus each other either. Like, who's really engaging besides the Wukong? Like, the Thresh death sentence can come out, but the Melio is obviously there, so the cleanse can come in. Maybe the Kog'Maw takes cleanse as well. So I think both teams will be kind of standing at each other a lot of the time in these team fights. They'll force these fights, but I expect them to go like really long and drawn out. Like, it's pretty interesting to see both comps. I'm glad you brought it up because you're right. Like, the 1 item power spike is not there for Hype Boys either. This game's going to take a while for it to really ramp up. The two items is where pretty much everybody in this game needs to be. So yeah, you're right. You're completely right about that. So I don't know. This is going to be a really neat game. There's going to be some early game advantages that I think the Hype Boys might be able to pull out, but yeah, like 2 items, we could be in for a bit of a snooze fest here for game 1, Crewman.
Potentially, but at the same time, I feel like things do tend to be a little bit spicier in Group B, just in general. It's kind of illustrated just by the standings. Honestly, there's so many teams that have 3 wins that are kind of tied in the upper half of the standings there here in Group B. So I do feel like that's kind of indicative of the volatility that these games can sometimes show us.
Yeah, and the importance too. As we mentioned at the beginning of this series, I mean, we've got the Hype Boys at 4-1 record and CGS with a 3-1 record. If CGS takes this, I mean, both teams are tied for first place. At that point, they would have the head-to-head too, so CGS would be in a good position. Like, there's a lot riding on the series, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, actually, there's also a third team that's also at 4 wins. That's Exodia Gaming. Actually, also has 4 wins. So potentially a 3-way tie for first after tonight. So we'll definitely have to take a look later and see how that's all shaping up. But we're about halfway through our spectator delay, Turk, and we've discussed the compositions a fair amount. Do you have a preference between the two? Obviously, both are going to take probably a little bit of time, we think, to come online. But, once that happens, do you feel like either team is going to have any kind of advantage?
This one to me is a lot trickier. Like, it's a bit of a coin flip in my head here.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's tough for me to really pick. I think at the end, I'll give my rationale. I'm gonna give it to CGS here for game 1. And one of the main reasons why is because of the damage that they provide, that they have. So while they don't really have like any engage at all, they do have consistent damage. That Kog'Maw and that Melio buffing that Kog'Maw up, the Akshan as well. So the Melio will be buffing up Kog'Maw, Akshan, Hecarim, and Gwen. All 4 of those champions that Emilio's buffing, they require resources, but if they're able to get those resources, that champion Melio can really push the limits of this team comp. And I think that there's a lot of windows that they can find to look for plays. It's just whether or not Ezreal, not today's, is able to land the poke, because his damage is situational. There's still times when Ezreal Qs won't be able to hit because minions are blocking. There's gonna be a lot of situations where maybe even Ezreal Qs are missing or whatever it is, but skill shots need to hit. If those skill shots land, the variability that I'm talking about right here, then I think not today's, the Ezreal can absolutely pop off. But Kog'Maw just has to auto attack. He has Emilio to buff him up. Same with the Akshan, same with the Hecarim, same with the Gwen, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts.
All right, yeah, we shall see, guys. If Black Dog with the R5 auction is going to be able to pull ahead in the mid lane, or if not today, he's on the Ezreal. Is going to be landing all those Mystic shots and coming alive in the mid game to keep NJ Hypeboy alone in first place. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with VTS Spring Week 6. All right, everybody, welcome to Summoner's Rift, and we're straight into the action. That's Joker getting a death sentence right at the start of the game here. The Kog'Maw just barely underneath the turret, but he's not going to survive, and not today. He picks up the first blood. Sorry about the late start getting in there, guys. Some technical difficulties, you know how it is. But regardless, it is going to be NJ Hypeboy pulling ahead with a very early kill.
Yeah, it's my fault, everybody. I apologize. Especially
I wasn't
especially
going
to
to out you
Guile.
like
Well,
that.
yeah, well, hey, it's a-okay. We're back here, and already a really good start. We definitely saw some level 1 shenanigans, which is nice to see there. Obviously, some confidence coming in there. The death sentence is going to go a little wide, but already that first blood coming in, really nice to see. The one saving grace is that Joker didn't burn his sums, so lane phase is going to be a-okay. And actually, as a matter of fact, NJ Hypeway are a little low here.
Yeah, it took a
So
little bit of damage. You know, they were obviously helping out a little bit with the leash as well. We are seeing Be My A actually start out on the enemy blue buff, you know, of course, as part of that invade that got them the first blood. That is going to net the Wukong, the enemy blue, as well. We'll see what Treacherously wants to do in terms of counteracting that. It looks like the vertical jungling may come into play here, Turk.
yeah, we're gonna see it, and crucially, he's gonna be spotted on this ward too here. So Hype Boy recognizing what they want to do early, they want to roam or they want to invade for that bot side, play around that priority that they have with the level 1 advantage, then steal that buff, play vertical jungling, spot the hacker him, and now they know exactly where he is. They've got the early game that they want. They've got the first blood to boot, and things are looking pretty good already from a set play by Hype Boys.
Yeah, definitely coming in tonight prepared. You know, we can clearly see they were ready to go in this one. Able to pick up that first blood is definitely good news, but certainly not the end of the world for Cosa Gamer Squad either. You know, as we highlighted from the champion select, they have quite a lot of scaling, and I do think this is a good move from Treacherously on the Hecarim to go for this vertical jungle here, and it's not going to be contested by the Wukong either. Be My A is just happy to take his bottom side camps and continue to split this map, at least for the early game. As you know, that could mean though, Turk, that the Cassante up here might be in a little bit of trouble. And you know, this is something that we did highlight as well from that champion select. The fact that playing around A caps on this Cassante might be a good idea, but doesn't seem like that's something that NJ is going to go for, at least right now.
That's right. When you end up doing this vertical jungle, you split the map bot, which means that your top side is now going to be perma weak side, and you can see treacherously hovering towards top. Oh, here we go.
Oh, that's the flash flay for Guy Wool. The Lantern gets the Wukong into the play as well. The Death Sentence connects onto the Kog'Maw, but he still has flash. He's going to be able to get back underneath the tier 1. But that is both summoners
Ooh.
burned now off the CGS ADC. A nice little move from Thresh and Wukong as the counter, the cross map going to come through. Cassante dashing away underneath the turret, and A-Caps is going to be all right as well. So nobody finding success with those ganks.
Yeah, but Hype Boy is definitely coming out ahead in that trade. No summoners being
Mm.
burned topside. Black Dog.
Oh, Mugai ignited as you're burning down the autos. Oh, Black Dog needed one more there. Couldn't quite get enough damage down as the Azir glided his way underneath the turret.
Yeah, that's really close. And we did actually end up we mentioned it really quickly there and
In these top laners, it's really close. Animal's going to try to go immune. The snips are flashed by
no.
A-Caps. Oh, but the last whack from the, what are Cassante's weapons called again? And Tofo's. The last whack from the Intofo is not enough, and the Gwen is going to pick up the solo kill, and now it's Be My A in the bot side jungle of his opponent, and he does not have the support from his bottom lane. The collapse comes through
Uh-oh.
from the Cosa Gamers first. The Lantern comes out, but there's not quite enough. Oh, the Wukong not able to get to that one in time, and the Cosa Gamers pick up a couple of quick kills, and they pull ahead on the scoreboard.
Yeah, a bit of an overextension for Be My A there. He's pathing into the enemy jungle with no priority on his bot at all, and it's a little bit unfortunate there, but he's collapsed on by 3 members. Burns the flash guy. Well, could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Yeah, Thresh moving forward
Trying to
pretty
stop the
aggressively. They're
fact.
taking a lot of damage. Yeah, no flash, as you
Wow.
say, and Joker's just going to be able to pick up another one. First of the game, actually, for the Kog'Maw, but another kill on the board for the Cosa Gamers.
Mission success. Backstopped.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he did what he set out to do, but then he didn't come back afterwards. So,
Well, it's actually a quicker reset. You got the home guards.
well,
I think the man's 200
well,
IQ.
Okay.
Now,
All right. All right. We'll give it to him. Sure.
no, we've all been there though. You want to stop the back from the enemy team, obviously delay that reset, and if you're able to do that, you can actually get ahead in tempo, especially with that thresh, because you can look for those roams. Maybe you could path towards mid, maybe we're towards top, especially off something like this crashing wave here. Obviously, that doesn't happen in that scenario, but I understand the reasoning behind it. I myself have done that many times, so. A caps will be able to push this wave in here. That's nice. He'll be able to reset in this counter matchup here. And at this point, the Gwen definitely starting to get strong. Animal actually pulling this wave and doing a really good job, forcing A caps to stay here, but treacherously will be spotted. So good ward coverage here coming in from Hypeboys early on. You can see really the vision that they've been able to set up. It gives them
Mm.
so much information on this map.
Definitely. And it is really important for this Cassante as well. You know, if he is playing weak side, to have those wards in the river and in the tri brush to spot out any rogue horses. But the rogue horse actually is in the jungle right now of New Jersey Hype Boy. Or NJ Hype Boy. Actually, I don't think we ever got confirmation if that stands for New
A caps
Jersey,
is
but I'm getting
here.
a little distracted. Yes, indeed. ACAPS is here. It's going to be a 2v2 in the top side. River, the snips come out from Animal the Needlework, doing quite a bit of work at the start of this one, but Sande going all out, trying to fight back, but it's not going to be enough as ACAPS gets cut down by the scissors, and it's going to be a double kill for SC Animal on the Gwen and Cosa Gamers squad, starting to pull ahead.
And that is tragic right now. This game state just went from bad to worse really quick there. And I gotta mention it real quick. I feel like ACAPS, he had a chance to actually alt one of those members into his tier one turret to play for that fight there and doesn't go for it. The death sentence will connect.
Hook lands in the bottom side. Joker getting chunked
Oh,
out a little bit here. The lantern forward aggressively for not today's in the arcane shift to
should be a
finish
one
off
for
the
one.
kill. And now just with Melia, oh yeah, the Kog'Maw passive is going to destroy Gaiawool. So indeed, as you say, Turk, a one for one in that bottom side, and both AD carries are going to be picking up the last hits.
Yeah, I mean, there's trading going on everywhere. And top side people are dying, bot side people are dying, but crucially, bot side's a one for one. And top side right now for the Costa Gamer squad, like that Gwen, that counter pick that you have, the priority that you put on this top side, actually not by choice in this game either. That just comes from Hype Boy's set play there, level one. But you can see the priority, the pressure that's being put on this Casante, and it's starting to pay off dividends here. Like the Gwen 3-0, 300 gold bounty, and Black Dog, nice roam.
Here he comes. The auction into the bottom side. Arcane shift, not going to be enough. Oh, but the
Ah,
dark passage
beautiful.
will be. Oh, Ezreal Thresh is just too safe of a lane. Black Dog not able to make anything happen.
Guile in the right spot at the right time. Crucially, they're able to throw that lantern out. Saves not today's flash as well. Burning that flash feels so bad as the Ezreal. You don't want to be able to do that. Having that available allows you to arcane shift really aggressively if you ever get those angles. So the flash being preserved, that will be able to save the state of this lane here. And you can see Hype Boy, what they're deciding to do here is they're actually sacking their bot side. They're allowing this dragon to go over here. So we're going to see an exchange
Hmm.
here. The Rift Herald is going to be going down. But equally, though, CGS doing a great job. Going to probably pick up a couple turret plates here on top of the dragon. So up ahead a little bit in the trade.
Yeah, feeling pretty good for the Kosa gamers. I agree. And it's really interesting also because this is kind of a reversal of the map sides that we were seeing in, the initial few minutes where the Wukong invading the bottom side, the red team bottom side here. But this time around, prioritizing actually that top side objective in the Rift Herald. But as you say, that did mean a plate actually went over to the Kog'Maw as well. So hopefully we're going to see some really good utilization of that Rift Herald from Be My A to make the trade worthwhile for NJ.
Yeah, that's going to be the next question here. Where do you throw that Rift Herald? And to me, mid lane seems pretty good. Bot side, I don't think you have much of an angle for. But yeah, at this point, the Kog'Maw, the Emilio, you're going to have on today's guy has to be a little careful with those trades. You see the damage from the Kog'Maw and that Emilio, pretty insane. But
Yeah.
there's the Ezreal Thresh get pushed in right now, so they don't really have priority in this lane much at all. Treacherously hovering bot side here, pretty cheeky look for a
The
play,
lane
and
gank
yeah, he
potentially
might
for the
find it.
horse. Has
That
the
guy,
onslaught of shadows, of course, as well, waiting very patiently right now in this middle lane brush. There is a
guy
ward
is on
on
a
Guile, so
ward.
they know exactly what the Thresh is looking to do. He's going to go for the hook onto the Kog'Maw, but I don't think that's going to be a recipe for success. But the Dark Passage is there. It's not today. He's able to click on it.
Oh
He is
no.
not. He cannot get to the lantern in time. And it's going to be Joker picking up number 3 on the Kog'Maw. He doesn't even have an item yet. Oh, and he's about to get so much stronger.
So much stronger. This wave's gonna crash. Now, not today's on the Ezreal's gonna miss a lot of gold, a lot of XP,
Oh,
and Be My Egg
dear.
should be here to soak this up. Gallo might be looking for something.
Cyclone available. Kog'Maw immediately flashing away to try and stay
Oh,
safe, but the
beautiful.
Warrior Trickster into R2 means that Joker will not be able to do so. He will, in fact, get shut down by Be My A. One more crushing blow should secure the kill. The Melio Q almost enough. The fire kick or whatever it's called, but Be My
No
A will
way.
pick up the double kill, the Dark Passage,
Oh
and
my
he's out of
god.
there treacherously, not able to get anything back, and it ends up being NJ Hypeboy that went out in the bottom lane.
The hype boy's popping off. It's great to see. And that's without the ADC. Not today's unfortunately not able to get that wave, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Be my A. He's gonna pick up a couple kills there off the back of a beautiful death sense from Gaia. Well, timing it perfectly, throwing the hook out as the Melio R comes in. So the hook lands, no CC or no cleanse available for the CC, and beautifully played. Black Dog, pretty sneaky too. Some cheeky action roams here early on in positioning.
Yeah, he has been trying to make it happen, right? Akshan is very strong, I would say, in the early game. Obviously scales reasonably well also, but he can be definitely a lane bully. And into something like the Azir, who is not very strong in the early game. I'm certainly happy to see Black Dog finding some opportunities to push in that wave, roam a little bit around the map, look for some additional opportunities for the team. Only 1-0 so far, though, on the mid laner for Coast Gamers. So we'll see if he can maybe find some more opportunities coming up here.
Yeah, and Guy does also have the TP too. So as the game goes on, he's going to be able to push side lanes. It's going to be really difficult for Black Dog to be able to match with the Ignite unless he's able to actually 1v1 the Azir, which is possible given the right circumstance. But yeah, inherently as this game progresses and macro becomes more important, pushing those sideways become more important, the TP is going to be an inherent advantage for sure.
We're starting to see some first items come through here, Turk. Divine Sunderer completed for both junglers, which does mean that we're not going to be seeing that full lethality horse that I was kind of expecting to come through. So that's an interesting call from Treacherously, looking to do maybe a little bit more frontlining as opposed to diving and assassinating, which probably makes a good amount of sense considering the compositions here. But back to the action, as we are seeing Rift Herald getting dropped in this bottom lane. Be My needed to get that one down. Only 1 minute left on the turret plate. So got to use it or lose it. And he will use it on this bot tier 1. Pick up a plate.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure that that not today's in the Israel got any of that gold. I don't think he was within range, to be honest. So
Yeah.
I mean, the solo plates going to the Wukong isn't bad by any means. He obviously has his Divine Sunder. That's his first item. Probably looking to go towards something along the lines of a Black Cleaver second. That would be my guess. We'll have to see exactly what he decides to do, but that seems to be pretty stock standard right now. And treacherously being a little annoying here, stealing a couple camps. But he's
Mhm.
definitely got this priority here with the Gwen, and you can start to see how much priority they really have topside here. Look at this.
Ooh, missed the onslaught of shadows there, unfortunately. The Wukong is going to be able to get away. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, Death Sentence lands onto Unless, but Ezreal taking a whole bunch of damage. Joker with the Blade of the Ruin King completed, and this Kog'Maw is really just starting to shred through the health bars already. Picks up number 4 there
Oof.
onto the Thresh.
Yeah, and you can't really play, it feels like, as a Thresh now. I mean, you wanna hook the Kog'Maw, but the Melio well, here we go. We're gonna see some more action
Mhm.
here. Maybe
Yeah,
not. I don't
Hecarim.
know. I don't know
They're
anymore.
thinking about it. The turret's still standing for A caps, though, and has the all out available to use as well. So, Cassante can be pretty tricky to dive.
Yeah, it's for sure. And I want to go back really quickly to the bot lanes. It's just the state of this game here. With the Blade of the Room King being built already, that one item spike that we are seeing on Kog'Maw is actually much stronger than what I anticipated, to be honest. So the Blade of the Room King available with the Melio, the passive and everything. Yeah, the one item spike, they're definitely stronger right now. There's no doubt about that. And the Thresh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to play these team fights, especially around that Melio. You want to hook the Melio, but if you don't, then you end up like you want to hook the Kog'Maw, but you can. Then you want to hook the Melio, but it's difficult because Kog'Maw's still hitting you. It's a tricky situation.
Yeah. And now we do see SC Animal roaming down here into the bottom side river. Gwen also extremely strong right now. And with that additional rotation, that should all but ensure Cosa Gamer Squad is going to be able to lock down this objective. Going to be a cheeky hook attempt from Gaia Wool there, as well as a true shot barrage that was a little bit too late. But pretty easy objective secure for the Cosa Gamers. Once again, we will see the trade as BMI is looking for the cross map. Are they going to be
They
able to finish this before the collapse comes through? Animal is here on the Gwen. The smite does come through, and Wukong was able to pick up the Herald, but he's going to get obliterated by that horse as treacherously charges into the pit. The comeuppance coming out from Black Dog there, not able to pick up another kill though. So a Herald over to the Wukong, but he does lose his life.
Oh, this is a beautiful death sentence.
It is a nice death sentence, but it's only onto Emilio, and Black Dog is here to defend. A lot of damage from the Azir, actually almost enough from Mool Guy, but not quite the
Oh
flash
no.
forward for Black Dog. The Ignite. Ooh, just barely Mool Guy able to flash away in time to survive. Guy will now, ooh, death sentence just wide right this time. Actually not going to get hooked in.
Emilio, wow. Holy, that was close. Wow. Okay.
Some
We're
bloodthirsty
fine.
Raptors.
Everybody's okay. Let's take a little reset. Out of zero now, we're actually going to see that mythic coming in. So that one item spike, Crown of the Shattered Queen, completed for Azir. Mugai, had he have had that, that would have been a kill on Emilio. I would have to assume. The damage just wasn't there when the death sentence landed. And at this point in the game right now, the Goldie that's ahead, it's 3K. But on the side of Red Team, I mean, you got to give it to CGS right now. It feels like their comp really scales well. They're able to play around the fights that they need to if they get vision set up first. The one thing I do have to highlight though is Hypeboy consistently throughout this game have had very good vision. I think there'll be plenty of windows where they can look to play around the vision that they've set up. Maybe look for picks with the death sentence depending on where the Melio is, but it's going to be an interesting game. A lot of the agency of how this game plays out is going to rely on whether Hypeboy can get this vision that is being denied right now.
Yeah, we can see, just as you're saying, at Cosa Gamer Squad pushing back into this blue side bot jungle, try and deny that vision. Still a little while until this third dragon, but it would be Ocean Soul points for the Cosa Gamers if they can lock it down. How worried do you think NJ Hypeboy need to be about this potential Ocean Soul? Do they need to contest at this next dragon? Or if they're not in position, if they don't have the vision, do you think it would be okay to give it up?
I mean, it might not even be a choice of whether or not you can. It just depends on whether or not you can get the vision set up, especially right now in this situation. This is a perfect time for Guile to be able to path down towards that bot side and start setting up some neutral vision on that dragon just to kind of recuperate. The Baron isn't up for the next 2 minutes, so if you're able to contest, you want to be able to, but if you have to give it up, that's something you have to do. A caps.
Okay,
Oh,
2v2 once again. Ooh, not going to break out, actually, as the junglers spot each other in the top lane there, and both immediately kind of, well, specifically treacherously going to back away and not gallop into the turret.
yeah, they both just say hi to each other and kind of walk away. Black Dog being pretty sneaky here. I really like to see that. The Action pick, it's gonna be interesting to see how this champion ends up scaling into the later game as he's looking for something else.
Ooh, gonna get shuffled into the turret. Black Dog in trouble now. Takes a couple of turret shots, and Mool Guy is gonna find the solo kill. Very clean shuffle there from the Azir.
I'm not gonna highlight anybody individually again.
Yeah, that was actually kind of your fault, wasn't it, sir?
Yeah, I feel
Unfortunate there for Black Dog, but treacherously now going to get engaged on by the monkey. Cyclone utilized, but the horsey a little bit too fast. He's going to be able to gallop away and not able to secure the blue buff, but still probably feels all right about getting out that Wukong ultimate.
Hey crewman, let's play a game. How
Hmm.
much gold do you think Treacherously is sitting on right now? Without cheating.
Ooh, okay, okay. How much is he sitting on right now? He has Divine Sunderer, 19 minutes. I'm gonna guess 2,000.
What if I told you it's 2,500? Would you believe me?
That's a lot. I mean, I would. I was only 500 off then.
Look at that. Already the Muramana just gets
Wow.
completed.
Okay. That was a
Yep.
tier instantly upgraded
Yep.
into a Muramana
That
for
man is
treacherously.
strong.
Yeah,
That is
that's
a
quite the
strong
power
horse.
spike.
A lot of horsepower. A lot.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah, not bad. The Rift Hero will be dropped here. This should be mid turret, actually. There's a
Yeah,
good
and
chance that
really
they're
like
going to
the
be able to
timing
grab
on
that.
this for NJ Hypeboy as well. Getting some priority in the mid lane, 30 seconds before the dragon spawns, maybe
One
slightly
hit.
early,
One
but
hit.
able to chunk out treacherously there as well is really nice.
Oh my god. Look at the health on that. What is it? 78.
On the turret.
78 HP.
Yeah, one more auto attack should be able to push that one over.
Yeah, and crucially right now, Hypeboy are doing a great job of getting mid priority here. They should be able to walk in. Oh my god, that death sentence almost connecting. The Melio there, obviously, to save the day if necessary, but they're doing a really good job of getting mid priority here, clearing out this vision that you can see that CGS are looking to establish. But right now, yeah, Hypeboy are doing a great job of denying this soul point here, at least the threat of it. But treacherously looking for something.
Yeah. Teams jockeying for position. It's CGS desperately trying to get the mid push so they can move into this river. Both teams kind of fighting for that minion wave in the mid lane right now. Nobody willing to start up the objective just yet. We can see Be My A kind of lying in wait in that brush next to the dragon pit. Because it's an ocean rift, there are some extra bushes to hide in here, but the Wukong's not going to be able to stay over there all by himself.
Yeah,
Dragon
and
started up
CGS
now
look
by the Cosa Gamers.
yeah, CGS looking to start this right away just based off A caps. He doesn't expel that TP, so the priority on mid lane was established by them, and
Be my
this is
A in
gonna
the
be a
pit.
fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a big old team fight that we've got here in the bottom side. River Dragon does go over to the Hecarim, treacherously lands the Smite Ocean Soul point for the Cosa Gamers. How does the fight look, though? Be my A, utilizing the Cyclone, already used the Warrior Trickster as well, and the Wukong is going to get cleaned up in the back of the pit. Not today's flashing away to stay alive. The heal utilized by the Ezreal there as well. So
The
it's
ping's
just the
coming onto the
one kill,
Baron.
but onto the jungler, Turk. And as you say, straight towards the Baron now for CGS.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna push this mid lane in. It could be a bit of a hasty Baron call. You have damage. It's not like you don't, but is it enough? I'm not so sure. And no pings are coming down yet from Hypeboy. I'm
I
not.
mean,
They
they
should be
have
aware of
Karma
this.
on 2 items. I feel like this is a very killable Baron for the
I
Cosa
suppose.
Gamers.
I suppose with the
And you
Rage Blades, the
obviously have
damage is
Akshan as
there.
well, who's going to be able to heroically swing his way over towards this Baron pit. Got the
This is
side
going
of
down.
NJ trying to move into contest now. I'm pretty sure
Wow.
this Baron is gone, though. Treacherously lands the smite once again. And Cosa Gamers have opened up about a 5K gold lead.
And CGS do a fantastic job of that macro play there. They end up pushing that mid wave, gaining the priority, and all of that comes from ACAPS not being mid with his team at the same time. He ends up resetting, not burning the TP, so he's going to be late. What you see is a beautiful, beautiful play. CGS force that dragon. They take the team fight. They mop it up. They kill the jungler, rotate mid, grab the mid tier one, and then also take the Baron off the back of that. And what an incredible play! Just recognizing the window that they had to look for that play, and things could have been different 100% no matter what. League is definitely a game of variables, but they did a fantastic job with that macro decision.
Yeah, really, really clean from CGS, knowing exactly what they could get out of that situation. And really in a great place now to try and take this first game. Obviously, not over just yet. Azir and Cassante can still scale quite well into the later parts of the game here, but Cosa Gamers definitely in control right now of this first one.
Yeah, they are. And the mid wave is going to get pushed here. The Gwen splitting. You could see right away that ACAPS doesn't want to contest that Gwen. And as a matter of fact, he can't. There's nothing that he can really do. He hasn't played his steel caps himself. But you can't really itemize against a Gwen anyways. At this point in the game, you're going to lose split. You're going to lose grouping up. So how do you win? And I think at this point, you need to find pick after pick after pick, and you need to overload side lanes. Look for advantages, odd man advantages specifically, where you can force fights. But I don't know how you do it. I mean, the Melios is such a good answer into what little engage that the side of hype boys have. I mean, the death sentence just it's not going to bring you much value. I feel at this point in the game, and maybe you needed something a little bit more dive-esque.
Hmm.
Maybe something like a Nautilus. I'm not so sure if that's the answer by any means, but I don't know how you force. I don't know how you forced into this team comp that CGS have drafted in this game one. I think they've done a fantastic job.
Well, I mean, you can go in with a Cyclone. Wukong has the potential to engage these. Maybe a big shuffle as well from the Azir, but it's definitely feeling pretty difficult. It is the side of ACAPS doing some work up
Oh
here in the top
wow.
lane. He goes all out. He finds the solo kill onto the Gwen. That's going to put a stop to at least one lane of Baron pressure.
Yeah, that's gonna bide a lot of time right now. And treacherously and the gang looking to pressure for this top side, but they can't.
Yeah, they definitely just got to get out of here now that they've lost their top laner. Will be able to do so. So just that one kill going over, and the tier 2 in the mid lane was taken by the Cosa
Yeah.
Gamers. So it's not like they got nothing for that.
Yeah, Black Dog showing bot with the ignite, obviously no teleport available. So you can see that Hypeboy recognized that. They look to try to force that fight up top side. And had they been able to find that angle, there's a good chance that they would have been able to get a couple extra kills, collect a couple bounties on top of that. Get some vision out towards the neutral portions of this map, which unfortunately at this point in time you don't have that on Hypeboy. You've kind of been relegated to your side of the map for sure, and mostly your base. So we'll see exactly how they're able to pilot around this. But the state of the game right now for CGS is looking very good.
If you are NJ Hypeboy here, or rather, the Ocean Soul is going to be on the table for CGS in about 45 seconds. If you're NJ Hypeboy, how do you move in here to try and contest this one? Or do you feel like it's just not contestable at this point?
The only way you can do it is to group up all five mid and push, I believe, and then walk in through the river bush. I think that's the only way you can do it because your jungle is not your jungle, and ACAPS is about to realize that.
Yeah. ACAP's in trouble down here without the Cassante. Going to be really tough to make this one happen. He's going to go all out. He's going to be able to get underneath the tier 2. Cassante is okay for now, but did have to
Yeah,
utilize,
beautiful.
obviously, the ultimate.
Yeah, crucially, the all out is burned there from the Kasante, and I don't know. You need to force. You need to try to fight this, but I
He has
don't know how you're
teleport.
going to be able to win that. That's right. He's got to use the teleport. I feel if they decide to concede,
This is
there's
a interesting position
I
for
don't know.
Black Dog, actually hanging off on the side, looking to pick somebody off as they're rotating over to fight for this one. Dark Passage into the pit to try and get some vision. Be My A can Warrior Trickster in, but they're holding aggro on the dragon.
No,
The smite comes out early, and Be My A gets a huge steal. He's able to flash out of the pit now as well, but Black Dog is waiting in the wings to try and clean up this fight. Treacherously on the front lines, extremely low, will eventually get cut down, but this fight is looking all Cosa gamers. It's only A-Caps that's left. No flash, no ultimate. He's going to be able to get through the base Kate, the comeuppance. Is it going to be enough? No, the Cassante, too tanky, but a 4-for-0 team fight. Cosa gamers, they may have lost the objective, but they definitely got paid.
they definitely did, and doesn't look like they'll be able to get a ton off that just due to the fact that they don't have those waves pushing. But that's a big team fight to be able to win. You're really happy with that. Beautiful flank by Black Dog. You got to give the man credit there. He found that angle and he's playing the action extremely well into the later stages of this game, which is a question that I had to see how that was going to end up working out. So he's doing a really good job piloting that champion, and that's just a good play there coming in from CGS, recognizing that they could force that. And no matter what, it's really a win-win situation. Even if the dragon
Yeah,
goes down, you still take the team fight. You're still going to win the fight. You're still that far ahead. And Black Dog has a good flank.
100%.
They find that play off that, and yeah, I mean, kudos to them. The game state right now, they're still firmly in their control. They haven't done anything suspicious to make me question whether or not they can continue to keep this control. And right now, it looks like cool, calm, and collected League of Legends.
Absolutely. I do agree. Feels like Coastal Gamer still in control of this one for now. Baron is going to be coming up very, very shortly. We can see that the Thresh and the Wukong are trying to make their way towards this topside river now to once again try and get a little bit of vision for
Oh,
themselves, but it's going to be not today's that gets charged on by the horse. He's so incredibly low. The comeuppance, it is going to be blocked, I assume. Yes, that's going to be Guy will taking all the bullets, but the charge still comes through from Treacherously. Going to be able to finish off the support True Shot Barrage to try and get a little bit of return damage out, but a 5v4 on the map once again for CGS.
all of this stemming off the back of that early level one play that we saw coming out from the side of the Hype Boys, and they end up weak siding their top laner. As a result, the Gwen gets so far ahead, top side starts snowballing, the jungle gets ahead, Black Dog gets ahead. Holy God, the man.
Yeah, level 16 auction. He's got 3 items. He's pretty strong. He does a lot of damage, especially in a 1v1 like that. That's going to be the charge onto the Black
Okay,
Dog now. They're going to be able to take him down. They
we got
dogpile
him.
onto the dog, and they do manage to get the kill. So they make that one a 1-for-1, but Baron has gone over once again in the meantime.
And you are now pretty much relegated to your base if you're Hype Boy. At this point, this tier 2 is going to go down. The tier 3 arguably going down as well. We'll see exactly what CGS decide to do. Maybe they choose to back off. I don't blame them. They're sitting on quite a bit of gold at this point. The Hecarim especially 2.1k in his inventory again. So
Certainly,
treacherously
certainly.
just piloting this carry jungle so well, and that was a one kind of red flag I really have for the team comp there from CGS. It was just the fact that they have these 4 champions that can absolutely pop off in the game, but a lot of them need, not a lot of them, all of them, they all need resources. So if you're able to get a head start that snowball, then yeah, you can definitely carry the rest of the game all the way through. But it's just a question of whether or not they could get there. And they've done a fantastic job of that.
Definitely. I like the treacherously call out. I think the builds on the horse this game made a lot of sense. Something that I did briefly mention earlier, going a little bit tankier so that you can do a little bit more frontlining for all of these carries. I think makes a lot of sense. And the play obviously has been very nice from treacherously as well. Some really creative gank angles, particularly towards that bottom side. Couple of nice lane ganks that did come out to get Joker nice and far ahead. So I agree. Yeah, treacherously been having a great game on the horse.
Yeah, and you're 100% right about that build too. He's done a fantastic job with the plated steel caps and the death stance. The only AP damage is of course going to be the Azir, and Mulgai hasn't built the damage for it. He's built Crown of the Shattered Queen. He's built Frozen Heart.
Oh
So he's built
wow.
more. So he's built more defensive than anything. There's no AP damage coming in, from what I could tell from the side of NJ Hypeboy, really at all. And actually, you can see it right then and there. a decent amount of damage, but not
Oh,
much.
guy. Well, yeah, you landed the hook, but at what cost? You've got your Ezreal here. He's going to try and get a little bit of damage done. Guy also coming in on the flanks. So the Thresh is going to be okay this time, but I was really worried about him for a second there.
Just push.
Baron
ACAP's looking for
only on for
something.
about 40 more seconds. Yeah, the ACOPS is going to look for something here, but the Cassandra
He
taking a lot of
found
damage. He
something.
has to flash away from that front line. Here comes the big scoop from Guy. He gets the Kog'Maw back into the team. They take down Joker. Is it going to be enough, though? Be my A now.
Oh,
Running very, very low, going gold, trying to buy a little bit more time. Not today's, though. Is going to be able to finish off that Ezreal, and the Wukong I don't think is going to survive either. He almost trades back
no.
onto the horse, but he's not going to be able to do so. And now the Frozen Heart is here. The last bird standing is not going to be flying for much longer. His wings have been clipped. And it's going to be the Cosa Gamers that take game one in about 31 and a half minutes.
You got to give them credit. They did a great job with the team comp that they drafted. And yeah, they're going to close this game at 31 and a half minutes with 11K gold lead. Which from me, it feels like basically almost from the get go. Like as I had a brief chance to mention it earlier on, really, I feel like all this stems from that level one play that NJ Hypeboy ended up pulling off. And while it ends up working out really well for them, level one, like with the Thresh Death Sentence connecting the first blood on Joker, like at the end of the day, you still end up weak siding your Cassante. And when you do that, the amount of priority and just time that treacherously spent up top side to get Animal ahead on that Gwen was crazy, and it ended up paying off dividends for them. The Gwen going to outscale, as we talked about, the counter pick into that Cassante. They did a fantastic job. Treacherously with the gold that he got, played really well. The build that he ran, we both highlighted it. I think we both agree that it was excellent here in this game. And overall, from game one, it's a really unique draft. Very rarely would I ever expect something like an R1, R2 Kog'Maw Melio coming out from a team, but they picked it, they ran with it, and maybe it was because of the B1 Ezreal. Something that I'm considering right now, but yeah, very interesting. I like the adaptations. Not a conventional team comp. I would consider not a conventional team comp by any means, but you got to give credit where credit's due. They pulled out this team comp. They did a great job with it, and yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled ahead quite early on, honestly. The Cosa Gamers, they started stacking up those dragons, and that ended up being obviously really impactful as well in the outcome of the game. So, and yeah, as we already mentioned, Treacherously having a great game on the horse. Are we in consensus that it's Treacherously POG for game one here? What do you think?
Yeah,
Because Black
yeah, I think
Dog also did pretty well.
he did for sure, but I still have to give it to the jungler. I mean, part of 16 kills, like 16 KP, not too shabby out of a 22 kill game. So big portion of why the team was able to get ahead was off the back of Treacherously. As we mentioned, he ended up getting the win con for his team ahead really hard, and crucially, Joker and Noneless did a fantastic job of avoiding a lot of deaths down bot side. There was a couple times when they ended up going down, but when you're the benefactor of all that advantage that's going topside into the Gwen that you know is going to outscale the solo lane no matter what, now you have a split con win condition. You also have the chance when you group up 4v4, they can't force a fight on you unless they find a really nice, maybe like Shurima Shuffle from Azir or the Wukong Cyclone that we did highlight very briefly, but the 4v4 that you have when you stack, you're just so strong, and the split you win, so now you have two win conditions, and I think they did a fantastic job, but yeah, I mean, kudos to them. Their macro was great. After taking that dragon, they rotate mid, grab that tier 1, and then crucially take that Baron, basically sneak it right from under the noses of Hypeboy. And yeah, it was just a fantastic game one there for them, and congratulations, 100%.
Absolutely right, Turk. We'll see if that first win. It definitely was Cosa Gamers kind of pulling ahead across the board. It was a team win for sure. We'll see if they're going to be able to find another one here in game two, or if NJ Hypeboy will be able to bounce back and look to hang on to that solo first place position. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to be right back with our second game of the night. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We are getting ready to jump into our Game 2 draft. Teams just putting the finishing touches, rather, on those preparations for the second game tonight. We are going to be swapping sides, Turk, so it's going to be NJ Hypeboy over to the red side and Cosa Gamers on the blue. What do you think about that decision for NJ?
First off, I'll say your off-the-record prediction was right. I wasn't exactly sure how NJH was going to respond, whether or not they'd stick with the blue side or whether they did want to switch up for red, but ultimately they're going to choose red side, and to me that kind of screams counter picks. For solo lanes, we'll see exactly how that plays out, but the Gwen counter pick ended up working out really well for, of course, the other side there for game number 1, so we'll see exactly what ends up happening, but alternatively, they maybe could have stayed with that blue side. You and I also talked a little bit about that off the record once again, mentioning that the Ezreal B1 was something that both you and I didn't exactly expect, and it was kind of interesting to see them pull it out, but I feel like it kind of pigeonholed their team comp a little bit early on. So
Yeah, definitely. The Ezreal B1 was strange, and it's not like Not Today's looked bad on the Ezreal or anything. It's just it felt like the composition as a whole wasn't really able to function as well as maybe it could have with a little bit of a more carry-oriented marksman down there.
You gotta give respect to CGS. I think they did a really good job of answering, right? Because when you get the Ezreal, generally what you're gonna want to do with the Ezreal is you're gonna want to pick something that can push wave with you to get the priority. So a good answer to that is gonna be Karma. Like Ezreal Karma is a staple bot lane, but instead you're gonna see the R1 R2, which was the Kog'Maw, and then of course the Melio, which means that the Melio is gonna outscale the Karma, and you're still gonna be able to match the wave clear. So already you counter the Ezreal pick with an R1 and R2.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I wonder, what other adaptations do you think we would like to see from NJ besides the swapping of the sides? Like, are they needing to ban anything specific that came out for CGS in that first game? Or do you think it really just all came down to their own prioritization in the draft?
I mean, if they want, they can always ban something like the Hecarim. I think there's still picks into it that you can play. But I think really the main thing is not even so much about the bans. I think NJH just need to play their game. Like the Gragas was available and that wasn't picked at all. So I wouldn't be surprised at all for game number 2 for them to look for that Gragas. That's a nice comfort pick for them. And then pick something that can scale better for your ADC. Something like a Jinx, which I know for sure that I've seen Not Today's play. So I would not be surprised at all to see him pick that out. Maybe even something like a Sivir or a Xayah. You can see that Xayah maybe coming in if, CGS look for something like aggressive with their B1 pick, maybe something like a Vi. So lots of options there, but I'd like to see that. I think if we're able to get some comfort on these guys, this game number 2 is going to go in a completely different direction.
Certainly. Yeah, we shall see. Jinx, obviously, another pick that's extremely meta right now. So I also would not be surprised, and in fact, would be pretty excited to see that one come through for NJ Hypeboy, so for them to try and get a game back here. Obviously, we did a little bit of stake setting. We thought the teams were ready, so we maybe came back a little bit early, guys. But they should be ready to get into that draft very, very soon. But
we could talk all day.
we could, but that's hopefully won't be completely necessary.
Yeah,
we shall
not
see.
Literally.
We shall see. Yeah, my neighbors probably wouldn't be super psyched about me talking all night, but we'll see how it all goes.
Maybe they think you're talking to yourself.
Who knows? Yeah.
Oh, there we go. We've got the bans coming in here. So CGS, we're going to see exactly what they do. I would not be surprised to see them look for something like a B1 Jinx as well. It's kind of really the staple for blind picks right now when it comes to the amateur scene, but even like professional play as well. Like Jinx is just resonant, so much priority with those buffs given. So wouldn't be surprised to see that first pick. I mean, if Jinx is banned, you still have the option for something like the Xayah. You can also take the Wukong if that's something you're looking for as well. So plenty of first picks available for CGS, and we'll really see what they decide to do pretty early on. And we're actually going to get the Gragas ban. I think that's a good heads-up play. I think that's a really good heads-up play there for CGS.
Yeah, I guess Cosa Gamers feeling like they have a little bit more flexibility with their bans on blue side here, able to ban away that comfort pick.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's a comfort pick, and it's also early game agency. The Gragas brings a lot of utility, a lot of gank threat, pressure, kill pressure, everything early on. So denying that away, obviously, is comfort, but yeah, it also takes away a lot of the early game agency. I know that Gragas is a big jungler that BMIA likes to play, so maybe we'll see him just back on the Wukong again. I don't think he had a bad game by any means. I just feel like it was really difficult for the Wukong to be able to play that game. So maybe we're going to get something like that instead. We'll see.
Yeah, honestly, I have not been feeling the Wukong myself as much recently. I was abusing him for a while there, and I'm not sure if it was like entirely the E nerfs because that doesn't really feel like it would have been like all that significant. But I feel like maybe some other junglers got buffed as well, and Wukong's just not quite in the position of power that he was, a month or two ago. So. We are going to see it fall by the wayside regardless as NJ banned that out on 3, and it's going to be the Sejuani on B1 for the Cosa Gamers.
Yeah, that screams to me pretty aggressive solo laners. I expect both melees, the Sylas being banned, so maybe something like an Akali might come out from CGS. That's something that kind of rings to my mind. The option for Yone is there as well, but yeah, I think you really want to draft a melee mid and top, but we're going to see the R1, R2 actually coming out, and that's going to be the Jinx Lulu, so looking to secure that scaling. The early game, you actually have a lot of wave clear too, so you have good answers as well into the Xayah. And we're going to see the Rakan. I really like the Rakan pick into the Lulu, and good adaptations here from both teams so far.
Yes, we are seeing the Jinx come through for NJ, as you were calling for, Turk, and paired along with the Lulu, that's definitely a potent duo. Interesting to see that Gaiawol did not want to go back towards the Thresh. Obviously that could have been another option to pair alongside the Jinx, but wanting something a little bit more focused on buffing the Jinx and actually getting her towards that hyper carry fantasy this time around. And then the Udyr will be this last lock in to match the Sejuani in the jungle.
NJH for their phase 1 draft have done, I think, a really good job here. Be honest. I mean, they won't have as much agency early on to be able to set up plays for themselves, but they don't necessarily need that at all. I think the Lulu does a really good job of being able to facilitate that Jinx. The Jinx is going to have a lot of wave clears, so chances are you're going to be able to match the side. Actually, you're actually going to be able to outmatch, so chances are you can get priority in that lane early on, get the waves pushed in, so that's a really strong bot lane. Alternatively, Rakan does do well into the Lulu and the Jinx, given the right circumstances, so we'll see how that plays out, but a little surprised CGS didn't look to grab any of their solo laners there early on, but I'm sure they have a good idea for what they want to do for phase 2, and expect some melees for sure coming out.
Yeah, to be paired up alongside with the Sejuani, of course, is something that the Boar Rider really does enjoy, is having those melee solo laners. And that is not going to be actually what's banned out by NJ Hypeboy. They're worried about the Aesol and the Ukshan. A couple of mid lane options for Black Dog there, including the one that was played in the previous game. Feeling like maybe that Ukshan was a little bit too difficult to deal with to be left available.
Yeah, I think it's a healthy decision too. The Akshan ended up doing a lot for CGS, of course, there. So yeah, I think those are both great bans, and I think this is also a great pick here too. Ahri really safe, generally speaking, especially when you hit that 6. You're pretty unkillable. There are windows, of course, to find picks on the Ahri, and there are a couple answers that you can run into it. Something like a Vigar comes to mind. I know that does pretty well. Also, so does Lissandra. But we're getting the Lily Hover. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's coming in.
You're not sure? Why wouldn't you be sure?
Well, I suppose I'm never truly sure. Okay.
Lilia actually is pretty strong right now. I've been playing a good amount of Lilia recently. She did receive some buffs, Turk, on the most recent patch, if you were not aware. So her clear is a little bit healthier now. She's got a little bit of extra damage, I believe, in the passive. So she is in pretty good place at the moment. She does have some counter matchups, but into the Udyr, I'd feel pretty confident going with the Deer.
Yeah, and actually, Animal does play that Sejuani, so that was a flex this whole time there. Ultimately, yeah, you're going to get that Lilia coming in, so you will have that pairing between the Sejuani and the Lilia, be able to play around that with the Sedge passive. Also the Rakan as well, and the Syndra.
Oh,
I like that.
They did change Lilia to melee a little while ago, didn't they?
Yes, yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was ranged to melee.
It
yeah,
was
so
ranged, that's right.
That is going to be some synergy there with the Sejuani. I had actually totally forgotten about that. And then you said, there was going to be that synergy there. And I was like, oh, wait, you're right. There is that. Ooh, the Darius into the
we don't get it.
We
do
not. It's going to be the Cassante once again for A-Caps. I mean, was on it last game, and honestly, I thought the Cassante was looking reasonably good. Just kind of the rest of the map was really falling apart on them, and they were not being played around, the Cassante.
Exactly, yeah, the Cassante was weak-sided for like the first 8 minutes of the game, so it's really difficult for you to be able to find anything as A-Caps there in that situation. It's just hard, and yeah, naturally you're going to get outscaled, but we did see him get like 1 or 2 solo kills, even still, so he still piloted the champion really well. The hover on the Darius was pretty spicy to me, but I think it makes sense just to go for something like the Casante. Not a lot of those champions are really diving into you. Of course, you have the Rakan, but the Syndra can play so far away. The Lilia can also do the same thing. The Zaya's pretty safe, and the Sejuani, she could tether pretty well under that Darius, from what I know. So I kind of like to see that they switched it up, went for the Casante. I think it did good game one, given the circumstances, obviously, and the state of the game. And game number two, I don't expect anything different.
Yeah, definitely. It's some more balanced compositions, I want to say, actually, from both sides in this second game. You know, it's pretty straightforward from NJ Hypeboy. They've got a bunch of front line between the Udyr and the Casante, and they've got their hyper carry now in the bottom side on the Jinx. The Ahri, you know, maybe you could have gone with something a little bit more carry-oriented in the mid lane as well, given the fact that you had all that front line, but, you know, still the Ahri is going to scale reasonably well. Lots of playmaking potential there. And for the side of the Cosa gamers, I feel like their composition is pretty synergistic as well, wouldn't you say, Turk?
Yeah, I think both team comps are pretty coherent at the end of the day. The one thing that kind of sticks out to me is that CGS, they did end up drafting that Lily and the Syndra, so the 2v2 mid is going to be not that strong. I don't think really at all. I mean, if you just itemize properly into that, the double AP, then you could deal with that really well. Udyr's naturally going to become really tanky too. It doesn't take him long at all to become like almost unkillable. It feels like, I swear, like every time I play against champion, I swear every time I play against him, he just becomes like infinitely tanky. So that's something to note. Obviously, the 2v2 mid is, I think, where a lot of this game is going to be decided. I think bot lane, there will be some windows to make some plays. But yeah, I think the 2v2 mid, if Udyr and the Ahri are able to sync up, like you have the charm, and then you also have the Udyr stun. So like reasonably easy to guarantee CC if you're able to get that Udyr slap down. So, I mean, I think that's where a lot of the tempo is going to happen in the early game. CGS still have a good team comp. I think they have a good, like, all-around, like, team fight. I really do. But, yeah, NGH, I think they also have good answers. I think they have good scaling. And I think they have, actually, the early game advantage just due to that mid-jungle duo.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, between the four champions, you know, across the mid jungles of both teams, there's a lot of power spikes at level 6. You know, obviously for Syndra, Ahri, and for Lilia, all become much more threatening once they have access to that ultimate ability. But Udyr can certainly do things before that level 6 mark. So, you know, if there are some early scraps around that mid 2v2, I definitely see where you're coming from there, Turk, where we could see NJ Hypeboy winning out in those. And, you know, as we all know, getting an advantage in the mid 2v2, especially early in the game, can be extremely advantageous for your team's chances of winning. So definitely could end up seeing something come through there. But honestly, I want to say that this one is almost certainly going to also go past 30 minutes, just based on these compositions. I feel like there's a lot of scaling on both of these teams once again.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You're going to see scaling coming out for sure. Another game, you can expect some early game shenanigans to probably happen. Maybe some like early trading, maybe a couple flashes being burned. But generally speaking, it's going to take at least until level 6 before these teams are really going to start to be able to force onto each other and then actually look for those kills. And then even after that, it's still going to take at least one item on a lot of these champions, two primarily on like the Jinx and the Xayah. Like the Ahri does pretty good with the Everfrost if that's what she wants to go. But yeah, it's going to be another scaling game, and there's not a lot of early game threat. I mean, you have the Lilia, which is going to take a while. Of course, you don't have any CC until level 6, so there's no inherent threat from that. You have the Rakan knockup, I suppose, to threaten early on, but again, with only the Xayah route, is it enough? I'm not so sure. So yeah, I expect another early game to kind of just be relaxed. Depends on if there's any set plays, because without that set play, I feel like that lane or that game state would be pretty standard. I don't expect much would happen, but yeah, depending on how both teams decide to play out the early game. If it's stock standard, 5 points, expect, yeah, first blood maybe within 12 minutes, maybe around 12 minutes. I don't know. That's my guess.
Yeah, there was a lot of trading in that previous game, a lot of cross mapping between these two teams. You know, starting, as you just mentioned, at that level 1 mark, with that invade and the vertical jungling that we had for a few minutes in the early parts of that game. But, you know, we'll see if these teams, you know, as you say, are going to be a little bit more reserved in the early minutes of this one. If we're just going to look to play around with those team fights, you know, after the level 6 marks in those big objective skirmishes. But overall, Turk, would you say that you have a preference between these two drafts?
If I do. If I have to give it to somebody, I'm going to give it to the Hype Boys. I think that they've done a good
Mm,
job with their draft overall. I think the Jinx and Lulu are going to naturally just scale, which that's exactly what they're going to do. So it's going to be reliable damage that you're going to have. The polymorph is going to pay off a lot for sure, especially if this Rakan's looking to dive in. So I like their bot lane. Their jungle mid, we've already talked about and highlighted. I think the Cassante as well. I think overall that was a really good like game one for again, given the state that he had. So game two, it's a nice good comfort pick for him to be able to play around. And yeah, I like the team comp, good front to back with consistent damage and decent pick with Ari as well.
definitely. I agree. I think NJ Hypeboy have made a lot of improvements in the draft this time around. My co-caster guys looking to go 2 for 2 on predictions tonight, and that would mean that we would get a game 3. So let's hope it becomes a reality, or, Cosa Gamer Squad would certainly be happy with 2-0. We'll have to see once we get onto the Rift for this second game. Don't go anywhere, folks. Be right back. All right, everybody, welcome to Summoner's Rift for Game 2 between Cosa Gamers Squad and NJ Hypeboy. Swapping sides, NJ over to the red for this second game. Cosa Gamers on the blue this time around. A little bit of a 5-point here, Turk, but Treacherously is going to move in now for a ward. Going to spot out the Udyr and is going to get that deep ward onto the red buff.
It wouldn't be a CGS in NJH series without a level 1 spicy action. There's always something going on, so nothing too crazy. Really, all they're trying to do there is just get that ward, of course, on the enemy buff. Now they'll be able to spot where that Udyr is starting. You can see that Be My A actually took that sweeper, so maybe they'll share XP with the Cassante, which means that Cassante will get the early level 2. These are really small things that probably don't matter too much, but you can highlight a couple things early on while both junglers are spotted, and we can
Yeah,
really pay
yeah.
attention to a couple things here. The one thing that sticks out to me, you're going to see the TP Ignite coming out from the Sejuani. That's something that we saw a lot when
Mm,
Sejuani top was more meta. Like that's something where we saw a lot, generally speaking. So TP Ignite that will be neat to see exactly how that plays out. And then I want to also highlight Guy actually ended up taking the unsealed spell book. So as that rune moves on into the mid to late game, that rune will scale really well. And there's neat little windows to look for with smite advantages, say with double smite. So it'll be interesting to see how
sure.
that plays out too.
Definitely. Could be big for Hype Boy. Mool Guy, potentially with some objective steals, could be very, very hype. But yeah, in terms of spice, if we're talking spice for that level 1, that was what, like Taco Bell mild sauce,
Yeah,
not really anything too serious. As not today's, it's going to get feathered a little bit down here, but returns with some rockets. So both AD carries getting a little chunked at level 1.
yeah. The extended trades, the Jinx Lulu will win that out just with the inherent range advantage that they have. So nothing too crazy. This Xayah Rakan needs some time. Level 3 is when this lane starts to come online, and then after that, you're really looking for that level 6 power spike.
Treacherously on this Lilia, pretty interesting clear. Raptors red Krugs, and now an invade for the Lilia. Once again, the jungler for Cosa Gamers playing it out pretty aggressively is going to be able to spot out the Udyr here. BMIA is going to face check the deer, in fact. Treacherously with the blooming
Oh,
blows, but they're going to have to flash away from the Udyr as the ghost was popped. And Udyr is certainly a reasonably strong duelist in these early levels.
and
Certainly
bot lanes
stronger
are
than a
responding.
Lilia.
This
Oh,
might
yeah,
turn
but that is
into a
the
bit of a skirmish
rotation.
here, but contest for the blue will happen as
Cosa
it
Gamers here first,
resets.
but they're not going to be able to stick around. As Mool Guy also looking to move over. That's on last. Level 2 Rakan going in with the grand entrance. Or of Deception, though, comes out as Mool Guy with rotation.
Oh,
Lands the charm as well. Well, onto the Lilia. And that is going to be one kill going over to both sides. Is not today's. Also gets taken down now. Mool Guy flashing away from the Syndra. Just about able to stay alive. And will be just the 1-for-1. I didn't quite see who managed to get the blue buff.
the blue buff I didn't spot. I saw the first blood. I know for sure who got that one, and that's gonna be Black Dog and that Syndra. Want to know? 400 gold. That's a nice start, and that's just a good rotation. The chain CC came in there from the Xayah route into the stun just over the wall there, out of sight of vision, and yeah, you're gonna get that first blood on not today's too. He does burn that cleanse, still keeps a flash, which is good. But the first blood will go down there, and unfortunately, in response, the Lulu will end up picking up that second kill there. So not the
Mm.
maybe not the best of all, but you got to give it to BYA right now. He's definitely ahead in tempo because of that.
Oh, cheeky from Black Dog.
Wow.
We'll be able
Oh,
to make it underneath the turret, sidestep on the charm as well. But yeah, in that bot side scuffle, it was honestly both mid laners landing a couple of nice skill shots to actually secure those 2 kills. Definitely be interesting to track that going forward as well. Which the Syndra or the Ahri can have a bigger impact in these fights.
that's right. And both junglers just opting to clear their portions of their jungles. Of course, you could have seen maybe the Udyr Be My A look to play in towards the blue buff, maybe treacherously's blue buff, of course, there with the top side prio that he had from A caps, but he elects just to start clearing this top side, probably reset, spend the gold that he has, and both junglers, this game is pretty good for them. Look, this is pretty interesting to see so far.
Yeah, BMIA has pulled ahead a little bit in terms of the farm, up about 3 camps right now. So the Udyr, both, Udyr and Lilia, both very proficient at power clearing through that jungle, but BMIA a little bit ahead in that department at the moment.
Treacherously does have some camps to farm up, though he's going to be able to clear from top to bot here right now and maybe set up for something bot side. Now, both laners have flash of the Jinx and the Lulu, so I don't expect any kills to happen, but maybe they can burn a summoner, maybe pick something up there.
Yeah, honestly, Lilia does take a little while to come online.
Exactly.
Like she can hit people with her stick a little bit in the early game, but like it's not really. Oh, that's a
Ooh,
nice
this is
scatter.
a
That's the
kill.
unleashed
This is a
power
kill.
available. Mugai is just gone. Black Dog finds the solo kill.
Okay, fair enough. Gonna go down. That is just a beautiful solo kill there, and obviously the level 6 power spike that the Syndra has. Enough damage to 100% kill Mugai there and picks him up, denies a wave. He's gonna push in another wave, so that's gonna be 2. And that's Syndra. Really off to the races, 2-0 now.
Already using the teleport as well. Mulgai gonna have to take the long walk of shame back to the mid lane. And at least we'll be able to, I imagine, get some of that minion wave. Hold on now, what's this? We've got Treacherously in the bottom side looking for another lane gank. This appears to be the Cosa Gamer jungler's specialty. It's these bot side lane ganks. Pulled him off last game as well. And once again, it's going to be Guywolf face checking this Lilia,
Beautiful.
and the Lulu is just going to get cut down. Joker picking up first of the game on the Xayah.
Yeah, treacherously just recognizing wave state there. This wave has to crash. This could be frozen for almost eternity at this point, and just a good recognition there coming out from treacherously on the Lilia. Really
Oh,
well.
this is
And
so
he's still staying.
cheeky.
Like this is
He
crazy.
actually he wants more. He got one kill, but he's like, what if I just stayed here? It's not really gonna work out. He's
He's
not
still
gonna get
waiting.
anything else.
He just
They're gonna
canceled his back
give over.
again.
Yeah, he is. The patience is a virtue, I suppose. And meanwhile, on the top side, Acap's not very patient. He's in fact going all out on this boar riding Freljordian lady, and he's going to be able to successfully
Not
find
today
that
did
solo
flash
kill
there. We didn't get a
onto
chance to see it,
Sejuani.
but the Jinx
Ah,
did
true.
flash.
Ah,
So,
very true.
oh,
So the patience paying off a little bit for the Lily,
Black
I
Dog.
suppose. Oh, yeah, the Syndra moving down now, but Be My A here to counter gank. The scatter is going to land, but the cleanse available for not today is able to walk out of this one. Joker very, very low. Will also be able to back away. Nothing comes of it.
Oh, that was a good force from Unless, and it looked like it was going to be really good, but Guile was polymorph there on the side, denied pretty much all the follow-up damage on not today's, and just well played. At the end of the day, no death spot side after that. So I mean that's pretty spicy. Treacherously, crucially though,
Yeah.
does end up losing that dragon. That's gonna kind of suck. There's no doubt about that. And you're a little bit down in tempo here, just for Seud here in that one-on-one situation. But yeah, overall things are not too bad. The game hasn't blown out for either team at this point in the game. The 8-minute mark and 5 kills, a little more bloody than probably what we both expected, but it's nice to see.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just given the compositions, you were expecting a pretty slow early game here, but they have not been afraid to to skirmish with each other and look for these plays. Scatter not quite going to land this time around, but it's for the best as the Lulu was here to defend. But unless also here, going to find the grand entrance onto Guywolf. Scatter not quite back off cooldown yet, means that Black Dog not able to follow up on that one.
Yeah, treacherously still not level 6 either. He's one camp away and he's gonna grab it after the scuttle, of course, but now he's gonna be able to grab that. Slightly delayed on it, but that's a-okay. He has his 6 up now. They're looking to start this Rift Herald too. And
Yeah, this is pretty aggressive, pretty spicy, you could say. A-Caps doesn't quite have the all-out available just yet, but is going to have that one pretty soon.
Mulgai reset.
Rakan only level 5. Mulgai, the Ari not here. Lilting Lullaby coming out now onto all three. Actually, the is this CC immune for now? The Udyr is, but he is going to be the first casualty of this fight as the three-man sleep from Treacherously pushes the side of NJ Hypeboy back, and it's going to be a Cosa Gamer Squad winning out in the fight and securing the objective.
Yeah, Black Dog's there, and Mulgai unfortunately has to reset. He just doesn't have the mana, so he's not able to play for that. It seems like a bit of a split call there, and at the end of the day, yeah, we're going to see the Rift Herald and a few kills as well going with that objective. So really good response there, and good recognition to play off the fact that Ari just didn't have any prio.
A-Cap's going all out once again in this top side, looking for another solo kill, and we'll find it. That's the power of the Cassante, especially into these tank matchups. Just has so much damage when he uses the ultimate, an animal just not really having anything to fight back with.
Yeah, you and I talked about it. He played well in game one given the circumstances, and in game two,
Yeah.
there's no question about it. This champion, he's doing a fantastic on ACAPs. Very comfort pick with this Cassante, and yeah, kudos to the man. That's another kill.
Both solo kills as
Yep.
well in that top lane in the first 10 minutes is very, very significant. Animal's not really going to be able to do much of anything by himself up in that lane. Just kind of has to try and farm it out underneath the turret, it seems like, to try and not expose himself to any more danger.
Yeah, and at this point, we're going to see some jockeying setting up around this bot side. I don't anticipate anything for about the next minute, minute and a half, but unless wants his ultimate, he might face check this bush. Maybe. A small chance.
Mm, dangerous moment right now for the Cosa gamers. But oh, the side of NJ Hypeboy back away just at the right moment. The charm lands onto the Rakan, but he's very, very slippery. He's going to go back in with the Grand Entrance, gets the knock up onto the Udyr. Be My A down very, very low. About 250 HP left on the ANGH
Oh,
jungler. And that's going to be Joker flashing forward, looking for the feathers, but the slow comes out. And Udyr just barely will survive, but he is pushed out of this bot side jungle. Still a little bit of time on the dragon, though.
the Herald is going down. I believe that they actually spotted Be My A
Oh.
pathing towards that top side too. So a lot of
Hmm.
priority here being put towards the spot side. The Zaya 1-0-1. Now going to get a couple plates to boot. Things are looking pretty good right now. Treacherously also
Oh,
hovering.
potentially a dive available, but not today's does have the cleanse for the sleep if it comes out. Going to hold on to it for now. Very patient there from not today's. But gonna have to continue to be careful. Udyr, as you mentioned, must have been seen going up towards that top side because CGS have no fear right now in this bottom lane, just completely pushing Jinx and Lulu off the turret.
Yeah, denying wave after wave there and threatening the kill there. There's no doubt if they try to stay under that turret, they both die. So
Oh man, ACAP's up
A-caps.
here definitely doing a lot of work on
Oof, he's
that
doing it.
turret.
Oh yeah.
Three plates gone over to the Cassante.
Okay, well, Be My A, he's gonna get a good chance here to clear up this topside camp. So Treacherously is gonna be down in tempo in that A-caps again.
All out, looking for it. The third solo kill, a possibility. The knockback. He's going to need it. I think he's going to find it. A-Caps,
Oh,
one more auto. There it is. A-Caps, an absolute menace on this Cassante.
I don't know. The mana's popping off. I don't know how you deal with this at this point. The split, you just lose at this. I don't know. Okay, what we're gonna see,
Like,
we're gonna get the Radiant Virtue. I'm trying to think about how this can go for the Sejuani at this point now, and I just don't see many angles. I mean, the Ignite was used too. You're gonna be left on this island. Your job as a Sedge is just to soak as much pressure as you can, but it almost looks like you can get dove right now by A-caps.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Animal was trying to hug the turret. Like the Sejuani was trying to stay safe underneath the tier one there. But A-Caps didn't give him a choice. It was just like, hey, I see you underneath that turret. You're not allowed to be there. You're coming with me. And then he sent him straight to the death chamber. So yeah, tough situation for Animal. I mean, I almost want to say you just sack the turret at this point. You like just let Cassante have it and just try and end this laning phase. It's causing you so much pain.
Yeah, and I mean A-caps, the shining light right now here for sure for the side of NJ Hypeboy. Like he's 3-0 on this
Hmm.
Cassante. He's looking good,
Yeah.
but I mean, across the rift, you see Black Dog. He's also looking good. He's 2-0-1. Like Joker, up to a nice CS lead, nearly closing in on
Yeah.
that 15, almost 20 CS point. He does have the Kraken crucially now too. So this item advantage is going in the side of this Zaya.
100%. Both carries for CGS right now, very, very strong. You know, as we can see, as you were just highlighting, both of those mythics have been completed. So they are ready to fight at the moment. 14 minutes on the clock. Going to see those turret plates fall.
I
Still
feel like you
quite a
need to give
while.
this. I feel like you need to give this turret. I
Yeah.
don't even think you can. I don't even think you can one v
Uh,
two. You could clear the wave, I suppose. If you're able to deny and clear the wave, you could stall the inevitable. But A-caps will get that turret no matter what.
he will. They're probably wanting to deny the first brick, but I mean, this tier one, our Joker and Unless going to be able to take this down. Not today's and Gaia Wool are very, very healthy on the Jinx Lulu. They should be able to clear this wave with very little difficulty. And yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know how long Animal can hang on to that top turret.
well, you're trying to stem the bleed instead of take the advantage that you have, which is the spot side and this mid lane. You should be playing around to those lanes right now, I feel like, as opposed to
Mm,
trying to be reactionary. This turret was gonna go down regardless. You stalled it
yeah.
for a wave, 2 waves, but you could be mid right now, pushing in that wave, or you could be bot right now playing off this as well, looking to zone away the enemy bot lane and then take that turret for yourself. So at least you equalize. You don't get first turret, but you will get a turret in response.
Yeah, the huge lead for ACAPS in that top lane is not really being answered right now. In fact, the Cassante going to roam into this blue side jungle of CGS and help his Udyr take away that blue buff. Really does hurt the Lilia.
Yeah, and CGS is playing to the strong side of Hypeboy right
Hmm.
now.
And
That's
it's
a
what we
crucial
didn't
thing.
see from them in the previous game, right? Is we had A caps kind of popping off up there on the Casante, but they weren't playing around him. And this seems like a great adaptation from the side of NJ Hypeboy.
Yeah, they've done a really good job here playing around their top laner. It seems like top lanes at this point in the series. I mean, in game one, obviously we saw the Gwen, and then in game two, now we see the Cassante.
Mm.
Slightly different circumstances, obviously, but there's no doubt that the top lane has been a major impact for the series so far.
Yeah, and the Sejuani flex obviously is something that the Cosa gamers were trying to utilize in their draft, but it doesn't really seem to be working out for them. Obviously in theory, I guess they were thinking that the Sejuani can just kind of be neutralizing the Cassante up there, but that is not uh, something that Animal has not been able to accomplish.
Yeah, he just hasn't, and a little cheeky stop, but 2 levels down at this point. Like, Annibal just needs to try to get that level 11. He has a Radiant Virtue, so he's gonna be that supportive-esque style champ, which, of course, Sejuani is gonna be anyways, but he's heavily opted into that, so he's gonna look to group up, throw out his ultimate, heal up his team, and then try to play around whatever melees he's got, which is gonna be Lilia and the Rakan.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
We'll see if the Sejuani can have a big impact in team fights later on. Not today's in trouble down here. Does have the cleanse, but cleanse doesn't save you against a whole bunch of damage, and that is what Black Dog is primed and ready to dish out. The flash for the last Dark Sphere.
Oof.
Oh, but Black Dog with the flash follow to secure the kill, and that is going to be a killing spree for the Cosa mid laner.
And there's nothing you could do if you're not Today's there in that situation except not
He
be there in the
tried.
first place. But yeah,
Yeah.
once you're there, once the Cinders close that gap, it's you just can't get away. It's impossible. Oh wow.
Yeah. Obviously didn't have the turret either. That was taken down a little while ago by the side of Costa Gamers in that bottom lane, that tier one. So really nowhere for not today's to go. Tried to use the flash just to create enough space, but Black Dog having their own flash to follow meant that there was no way for Jinx to get out safely.
Yep. And
Dragon
now
going to be
you're gonna
spawning
see.
now in just 30 seconds. Going to be our first Infernal of the game for this Infernal Soul. Of course, both teams tied up right now, 1-1, jockeying for position now in mid.
Yeah, both teams would love to be able to take this dragon, but by no means do you have to fully commit to this. You have the option to play for those mid turrets as well. So there's still multiple objectives that you can play for at this point in time. My guess is both teams want to opt in for this team fight. Looks like as we're posturing. Oh no.
Oh, that could be a pick onto the mid laner. Mool guy very, very low. The Unleashed Power not quite available just yet for Black Dog, but still, the Ahri has to Spirit Rush back towards safety, and the Cassante is critically going to get shut down. The Shining Hope, the light for NJH is going to get shut down, but they do get a return kill onto the support. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the Herald is going to charge on the tier 1, but that turret will stand for now. Be My A still alive, going to get scattered a little bit, but the Udyr relatively healthy still. Oh, it is AD Udyr. Interestingly, on not today is not quite going to get rooted up by the Blade Caller. Who's good attempt from Joker, almost able to get the lockdown there. Would have been another kill, but in the end, it's just going to be that 1-for-1. But the Dragon does go over to Cosa.
Yeah, and they can actually play for this mid turret too, and I'm glad they recognize this. If they're able to push this wave in quick enough, they can grab that tier 1 mid, which opens up this map a lot. Black Dog.
Oh, Unleashed Power is available now for Black Dog. Needs one more sphere. The AD Udyr. Ooh, yeah, that would have been a brave choice to go all in for that one. Will decide to back away.
Yeah, it's a really unique build, isn't it? Generally, you see that demonic embrace. I know that the demonic has been nerfed, of course, well aware of that, but generally you see the demonic embrace coming in there. The Blade of the Room King, if that Udyr is able to close the gap, you're going to see him shred, but Black Dog is fed. One of the
Yeah.
strongest members in the game right now. Has the most gold? Not quite, not quite. So ACAPS actually has the most by about 600, but Black Dog is not far behind.
And for Udyr, I do kind of have to question the build a little bit. As you say, it is really powerful if you can get on top of your opponents, but who is he really reliably getting on top of? Like Zaya Rakan are not really that susceptible to being run at.
Yeah,
And,
and
Lilia as well, a lot of movement speed. Black Dog has been pretty on point with these scatters. Like, if you're just trying to Blade of the Ruin King the Sejuani, that's kind of where Kosa Gamer Squad wants this Udyr.
yeah, you got to kind of ask yourself what the role of the Udyr is in this comp, and you have a Jinx, which is going to be a hyper carry. You want to create space for that Jinx. Do you do that by absorbing damage, tanking CC, whatever comes your way? But in this case, you have the Blade of the Room King, so obviously that's kind of off the table now. You're actually pretty squishy on this Udyr. We were both highlighting it, how
Mm.
like, he felt like he was a monstrably tanky. But when you go a build like this, it's as the game goes on, of course, the Udyr is still naturally going to become tanky. But right now, in this state of the game, he's actually quite squishy.
Yeah, certainly not like a huge tank that we were kind
No.
of indicating, as our expectation from the champion select. That is going to be a very different look than that for Be My A in this one. But again, if he is successful in finding these targets, could look good as we're kind of a little bit of an awkward position. He's going to get charmed up right here, but he has a teammate to jump to, and that's going to be a triple sleep once again from Treacherously. It's all going to
Oh
be
wow.
the flash with the quickness for the double charm. And it's going to be Joker picking up
Oh
another kill. It's going to be several heads claimed by the Cosa gamers. The very quick 3 for nothing at the start of this team fight. And it's going to be ACAPS doing everything that he can, but he's all by himself. He's going to bring Joker through the wall and be able to get a return kill back onto the carry. ACAPS playing it about as well as he could, but still a big fight win for CGS.
yeah. Into the victor come the spoils, and that's going to be a tier 2 at least in this mid lane here. They might even play for a couple camps in bot side jungle, but yeah, you got to give it to them. That's a really, really good play from CGS, recognizing that they have that window to force that fight, and they find it on the Ari and the Jinx of all people, both carries right there, and that comes
Yeah.
off the back of Unless with a beautiful grand entrance into the quickness. That's flashy, fully committed for that, and they found it. They made it work, and if you take a look really quickly on the right side of your screen, you'll see that flash for not today's just coming up now. So
Oh,
great timing.
yeah, definitely not quite available for the Jinx in that instance. Black Dog potentially getting run down here. There's a very fast Udyr. They have managed to get on top of the mid laner. So that's
Woo!
going to be a shutdown. Going over to this Blade of the Ruined King Udyr. Going to accelerate him towards that second item potentially. Still signs of life for NJ Hypeboy.
Yeah, and he's gonna need that second item too. That's great to see. And we're actually seeing a bunch of pings coming onto this Baron. We're gonna get this mid
Hmm.
push here, and we're getting a quick start. Mool guy.
Yeah, the T1 Baron going to be attempted here for NJ Hypeboy. I don't know. Is there like where's the threshold to where a Baron isn't a T1 Baron anymore? And we're gonna have to get back to that actually, Turk, because this is definitely happening. The collapse is gonna come through from the side of Cosa Gamers, but they do not have their mid laner just yet. Treacherous or Black Dog with the teleport, but it's gonna be the Rakan with a huge engage once again, straight into the Baron pit, and they're taking
The
so
Baron,
much
the Baron, the
damage from
Baron.
this Baron as well. The Baron is going to be secured by Be My A, but at what cost, Turk? As the ODR is going to get shut down, as well as the Jinx, who did use the flash, but was not able to survive regardless. It is the 3-for-1 team fight. At least the Baron buff on ACAPS will survive.
Yeah, you keep the Baron, but I'm not sure if you get this dragon though. It feels like right now at this point, this dragon's gonna go down. That's gonna put them on soul point, of course, for that infernal. So at the grand scheme of the things, yes, you delay this game at this point, right? So that's not too bad by taking that Baron, but it feels like you've kind of put a band-aid on the wound at this point right now, and there's still plenty of time here. CGS off to a good start. They're rolling out here. They're going to get the vision set up on this neutral objective. The dragon up in 15 seconds. You got to feel like this is going to them. And if they're able to
Yeah.
grab it, that soul point is going to put them in a really good spot.
100% Turk. It's once again feeling like the Cosa gamers are in a very good position in this game. And I got to say, it felt just a little bit overeager from NJ Hypeboy. It's so early on in the game still. And yes, you did have that temporary man advantage on the Rift, but your Baron damage just isn't quite there yet. Like, Jinx doesn't even have her second item. It's like Blade of the Ruined King Udyr, sure, but like the Baron just took too long for them to kill. They took too much damage. They're going to look for this team fight now in the river as the teams facing off against one another. Once again, an honest 5v5 this time around.
Oh, that
Sejuani on
damage.
the front line. Oh, good damage from Black Dog over the wall. Lands a scatter onto the Ari. Mool guy, though, still hanging on to the Spirit Rush as well. Gonna be a knock up onto ACAPS. They have to defend the Cassante. We have to play around this Cassante. There
Four
goes
man.
Treacherously with the 4-man sleep, and that should be the setup that CGS needed to clean up in the team fight. They were already ahead. The Lilia, with so many great sleeps already in this game, she finds one more, and CGS are in complete control now of game 2.
Treacherously carrying that fight. That flash in the back line hitting 4 members for that ultimate follow-up. Looks like they're going to play here for this tier 3. More than likely that inhibitor as well. And yeah, this game state is looking great. A beautiful play. And just back to back, we're seeing that Rakan paying off. We're seeing the Lilia starting to really pay off now. Obviously, the scaling coming in. Yeah, the Udyr just doesn't feel like you have that tankiness there. You can't create the pressure. You can't create the zoning that you need to do for the rest of your team. And ACAPS, he's trying, he's giving it his all right now, but the game's slipping really quickly through his fingers.
Yeah, it's just so hard. I mean, like, even when you're playing a great game on a champion like Cassante, it's really hard to carry by yourself, right? Especially in a coordinated 5v5 setting like this. you know, it's just not really what the champion is built for. Unfortunately, you need people behind you to be able to actually put the finishing touches on those team fights. You know, ACAPS cannot do it all himself. And
It's tricky, and now, yeah, what you have to do is you have to take a look at your items now. If you're on the side of Hypeboy, and you got to ask, like, when do we start to do damage in that Jinx? Once that 2 item spike comes in, not today's, he'll be hurting, but he needs that right away. And once he has it, he'll be somewhat okay. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you need those items to come in. You don't have the gold to be able to do it. CGS control all of this map at this point. Wherever they want to walk, they can control, and they're doing a really good job of setting up this vision. You could see Unless, really the unspoken hero of this series, prepping up a ton of wards early on in game
mhm.
one. We saw a Hype Boy. I felt like they had a really good job setting up vision, and they really did have vision control for probably a good for 7, 8 minutes. But now you can really see how this team can play together cohesively and as a unit. They all push towards this top side. Of course, they have that mid inhibitor down, so naturally they're going to have the prio in that lane here. We're seeing Animal splitting bot side with the TP, so it feels like they've checked all of these boxes, and at this point, it's just whether or not they get caught out. And
Yeah.
they won't.
Oh my
Oh,
god, that damage from Black Dog. That's the 2 item Syndra, and Jinx just never stood a chance. It's going to be the damage raining down on NJ Hypeboy with their 80 carry deleted at the start of the fight. There is really no way to win out
they
in
have
this.
mid
It's going
lane.
to be a double going over to Treacherously with the dot, and it's going to be the knock up onto the Lulu as well. Looking for the ace. Be My A, the last survivor. He's tanky enough on the Udyr to survive, at least for now, but I don't think the Nexus will be so lucky.
Not today's. Just kind of like
Disappeared.
evaporated there or something. Yeah.
Yeah, went poof.
Wow.
Didn't even see the Syndra probably. Just, you know, was walking to defend top lane. And then for some reason, his screen went gray. Very, very strange.
Weird bug.
Super Mega Death Rocket does come out from the respawning Jinx, but the Nexus turrets have already been destroyed. And Animal is just going to move forward and put his body in
Wow.
front. And
Beautiful.
that is all that he needed to do. Another double kill comes through for Treacherously 7, 2, and 10 on the Lilia. And it's going to be Cosa Gamers taking a little bit of a more convincing second game here, Turk.
Yeah, 2-0 for tonight, and that makes the standings pretty interesting, doesn't it, crewman?
It really, really does. That does mean, as you were just hinting at, that Cosa Gamers have tied NJ Hypeboy at 4 wins with only 1 week left to play in the regular season.
Yep, and that's off the back of, I mean, you got to give it. I think that Treacherously again played really, really well, and I mean, everybody I think popped off. Black Dog did a really good job of getting ahead for himself off the roams that he was able to get. But yeah, it really came off the back of Treacherously, knowing the limits of his champion, invading like what he did there. He's level 3 or level 4 when he ended up sending that one invade bot side. He had bot prio, so he's able to play around that. He also had the mid prio. They played for that objective, which was of course the blue buff in that case. Did a really good job securing it, playing off the fight, getting the first blood, and things really just seemed to go in their favor right after that for pretty much the rest of the game.
I almost forgot about that cheeky lane gank where it was actually just like it wasn't even a lane gank. It was just like a bush camp, I guess. He actually like Treacherously actually just like built himself a little campfire.
Yeah.
He was roasting some marshmallows down there, and
Yeah, he really did
ended
live
up
down
in
bot side. He
Yeah.
stayed, but he's probably there for like a minute. He gave up a dragon for it, but it was worth it, no doubt. He's thinking worth the whole time. So yeah, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's a great series. And if you're on the side of Hype Boy, there's definitely some things you could take away from that. I mean, I don't think the game is over by any means, but I think the real nail in the coffin is trying to force that Baron that you played for, and we alluded to it
Yeah.
a little bit earlier on. It just felt like you tried to bite off a bit more than you could chew. If you have, like, say, I don't know, a mid laner, I'm thinking something like Cassiopeia, you need more consistent damage, something like that. But if you have a Cass, and maybe there's a window for it, but you have the Ahri, and the Ahri with the Unsealed Spellbook actually didn't even have the smite when they started that too. So they didn't even have this double smite advantage. So I mean, really, it feels like they're flipping the game at that point when they don't need to. They have the Jinx that can outscale with the Lulu. It just seems like if they were a bit more patient, I'd really like bought their time out as long as they could. Obviously, get the 2, the 3 item spike that you need on the Jinx that you're able to play around it. Maybe they could have done something a lot better there. Of course, it makes you wonder for sure, but it feels like they ended up forcing that Baron, and that's when the game really fell through the cracks.
I definitely agree, Turk. It felt like a little bit of a desperation call, unfortunately, for NJ Hypeboy. You know, I'm sure that they felt themselves starting to fall behind a little bit in the game. And, you know, like we called out, you know, they had that man advantage. They wanted to get as much as they could in that window, but the Baron was just a bridge too far. It really did cost them very, very big in that one. I definitely agree. You know, they could have just continued to play for scaling and try and get Not Today some more farm on this Jinx, but you know, it also would have been hard. You know, Syndra and Xayah both also scale quite well, so it's not like they would have had the scaling advantage necessarily. So, yeah, just a tough spot for NJ Hypeboy, and really props to Cosa Gamers squad because they came in tonight to play. I mean, they were winning, well, at least the mid and the bottom lane pretty consistently. Top lane in that second one looked a little bit rough, but hey, Animal was Tank Sejuani, did his job. Beautiful stuff.
That's honestly, you drafted Sejuani to be able to group up to play off the Mealies that you've drafted, which in that case you had two of them. You had the Lilia and you had the Rakan. The engage that you have with that team, if you're able to find the angles on the Jinx, on the Lulu, the mobile champions, you can find some serious kills really quickly, and then before you know it, yeah, CGS is in firm control of the game. Pretty much snap their fingers whenever they want to force any sort of engage, find the fights. But yeah, I mean, like there's so many good things you could take away from CGS. I think they did a really good job of also playing around that Jinx timer on the flash. Like we saw the Rakan ended up going in for that flash grand entrance, ended up finding that in just the window, probably another 10 seconds on the Jinx flash. So just those little things that make a massive difference in the grand scheme of things. And CGS, you needed to win this series. You won it, but not only did you win it, you like crushed. You decisively took this series. So you got to be feeling good going into the final week here. You're sitting at that 4-2 record, excuse me, alongside NJH, but due to the head-to-head, of course, you would have the advantage in the situation.
Very true. Yeah, Cosa Gamer Squad got to be feeling fantastic. Looking towards that postseason, they're in a very comfortable place right now in the standings, with even a chance to secure that first seed. You know, potentially depending on next week's results. But for this one, Turk, who would you look towards as a player of the game? Who impressed you the most? I think I have an inkling about who you might be looking at, but let's hear it from you.
I mean, I think all the guys played pretty dang well. I even think Animal did his job towards the end of the game, but
certainly did.
But if you the one-liners, I love it.
He was playing Tank Sejuani. Yeah, he absolutely did his job.
I'll give it to Unless. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the man did the man did a really good job. I think he played off treacherously, and of course, treacherously, you could definitely say that he got the MVP, and you can make a good argument for that too. But I think Unless played extremely well around the aggression that his jungler had, setting up for all those plays that he did, especially early on, able to get that first blood for a Syndra, playing around the invade that of course treacherously set up. But then as the game progressed, the vision control that he was able to establish, it really felt like he was a big deciding factor for a lot of the fights that they could force, just due to the fact that not only did they have the vision, the enemy team didn't, which is the bigger factor right there. When you don't have vision, you don't know where the Rakan is, you don't know where the Syndra is, things become really tricky, and off the back of just generally speaking, good macro from the team, capitalizing on a couple of mistakes that of course we saw some overforcing with that Baron, like Siege, that Hypeboy of course did. But yeah, I think Unless did a really good job with the way that he played out the game. He paced it out, and I think as a Rakan, you pick that champion to be able to force those fights, to be that engaged for the team, and there's no doubt that he had some really clutch timings on those engages, as did treacherously. You could give it to either of them, but unless I'm gonna go out there on a limb for the man and give it to him, a 1-1-16 scoreline, like 17 KDA, I don't know. I think he did. I think he deserves it.
Absolutely. I like it, Turk. I like it a lot. Beautiful game on the Rakan here, no doubt about it. And I believe we did give treacherously the POG for game one as well, if I recall correctly. So yeah. Spreading the love out a little bit, I think, is warranted here, because it absolutely was a team win tonight for the Cosa Gamer squad. All of the members playing very, very well, as we already mentioned. And I did also actually want to call out Unless for starting out the team fight. I think it was around like 15 or 18 minutes or something, where it was like behind the Baron pit on the top side there, where he was like, "Ooh, I'm just a lonely little Rakan. I'm trying to get some vision. Oh, look at me. I'm so vulnerable." And then the side of NJ Hypeboy kind of all moved in, you know, both carries moving in to try and punish the Rakan. And they just kind of got blown out of the water by the counter engage coming out, as, you know, treacherously and Animal made their way over. So definitely a nice game on the Rakan. You'll love to see it. But that is going to pretty much do it from us tonight, I believe. Turk, do you have any final thoughts, any closing remarks on tonight's match?
I mean, you got to give it to CGS. Like, at the end of the day, they ended up cleaning this series up, nice 2-0, and again, in a pretty decisive like fashion. Of course, game one there was a couple swings here and there, but ultimately they were able to close that out. Game two, it felt like they were in firm control here. So kudos to them. Congratulations. I felt like you guys did a really good job at drafting. If you're the Hype Boys, I think right away you could look at game one and just ask yourself if the B1 Ezreal is something that you want. I'm sure that they had a plan for it, like something in mind, and maybe they got caught off guard by the Cogma Emilio, because I know I would have been off guard. But I'd say take a look at your game one draft and really assess that, figure out if that's something that you want. Of course, you still had plenty of options to be able to grab. We mentioned the Wukong. If you're going to pick it anyways, you can always be one that. You can always be one something like the Jinx, which was available at that time. You can also do the Xayah if that's something that you want. So there were other options. I don't think by any means that it's a deciding factor. I just think that it pigeonholes your team comp. It kind of forces you in this certain direction. And when that ends up happening, it kind of just skewed the draft, and it's not always in your favor. So I think that, yeah, for game one, like CGS just did a really good job recognizing that and then capitalizing off that B1. And then, I mean, game two, I don't think anything was too bad. You ended up winning up top side, which is exactly what you wanted. You did your best to stem the bleeding in mid and bot, and I think you did a good job. But ultimately, it felt like just the over-aggression, playing for that Baron, which is really what costed you the game. You ended up winning that team fight down bot side around that dragon. Pathing up, playing for that mid turret, you could have taken that, reset, and maybe that was an option. Maybe even get some vision on the Baron. But yeah, a little bit of an overstep on a scaling team comp that you know you have the advantage when it comes to the late game. Feels like a bit of a blunder from me. I wouldn't hold their heads down by any means. Still 4-2 record. They're going to be perfectly fine moving into the playoffs. They still got one more week to wrap it up. They can go 5-2, 100% as well. It's A-okay with them. So, yeah, both teams, kudos to CGS. NJH, wouldn't hold your heads down too low at all. I think bounce back series is no problem at all. Just assess the drafting that you did in game one. Game two, just take a look at the plays that you decided to make with your macro and figure out what was best. And yeah, keep rocking, because NGH, I have no doubt that this team is extremely strong. I have a lot of faith in all the players here. I played against some of them in solo queue, so it's going to need to be able to cast them. So that's always fun. And yeah, at the end of the day, you got to give it to CGS. Congratulations to them. It's a nice win to grab, and definitely a crucial time for it.
Indeed. Yes, but we will be, of course, seeing both of these teams in the postseason, so
yes,
lots more, I'm sure, that we will be able to see from both squads. But as I was just saying, that is going to do it from us tonight. So, from myself, from Turk here, from the entire production team at Victorious, thank you all so very much for watching. We'll see you next week for Week 7, the last week of the regular season here in VTS Spring 2023. For now, from all of us here at Victorious, thank you, and good night.